Do you sometimes face decision paralysis when it comes to something creative or artistic in your life? I know that I do. And as I'm finding some ways through that, I thought I would share them with you today and see if they can help you, and also invite you to share your thoughts about how you work through that in the comments so that maybe we can help each other. My name's Lisa, and I'm a furniture artist, and I live in Vermont, and my business is called Live Yummy, and my furniture art, when I have a store kind of thing, is called Artful Living. What I do is I paint art all over furniture, and most of it has sold, but I have a few pieces here at my home studio. And as I make decisions every day as an artist, there's a lot of possibilities. And sometimes the more possibilities I can think of, the more jammed up I can get. I have one of those minds that thinks in a certain way. And probably if I were to talk to my PCP about it, I would probably end up with medication at the end of the session. But the way my mind works, and maybe yours is kind of similar, is that I see a piece and I can picture about 73 different possibilities for that piece. And each one of those requires a completely different kind of treatment. And then each one of those has factors that could be factored in. So pretty quickly you end up with a very multiplied kind of tree, and there's thousands and thousands of possibilities. And if I allow myself to, I get really exhausted really fast by that, because mentally traveling on all those pathways at once, I mean, is this a trip you take with your mind? Like, it's exhausting, right? So I've really been learning to just live in the moment that I'm in and stay really right where I am with the thing. And I have to reel myself back all the time and say, okay, no, I'm right here, right now. What needs to be decided right now? And that has really helped me a lot. It feels to me a lot like I have to cut myself off. And that's really hard, but it does help me a lot to keep my energy where it belongs, which is right here, flowing into the thing that I'm working on that I can actually make a difference with. So first of all, I'd like to know if that is a strategy that you ever use, which is just reel yourself back to the current moment. So for instance, I'm working on this French Provincial dresser, and I have some decisions to make because the top of this is laminate. What we all know in this industry, and anyone who puts paint on furniture, we all know that laminate is this slick plasticky stuff, right? And most paint does not want to stick on it. So these paints that I use, these clay-based paints from DIY paints, from Debbie's Design Diary, these are like incredibly great paints for adhering to everything. It's 80% clay. I love this paint. It adheres to, virtually everything, but still laminate is this very slick plastic. And so most of us know that painting anything on laminate is not like the funnest thing, especially for me. If I paint it blue and then find out, oh, it didn't adhere very well, okay, I've got to start over. Well, that's 20 minutes of wasted time. But I'm going to put down artwork on this thing. This is going to take a lot longer than 20 minutes for me to put a finished piece of artwork on the top of this dresser. So it's really important to me to really have a foolproof method to paint onto laminate that I know I can repeat again and again and again. So far, I've managed to avoid laminate almost always. But this time, this French Provincial dresser is going to be for a child, for a client's child, and I want to make it great for her. And I want to make it great for me. I don't want to redo my artwork. I don't want to feel disappointed or discouraged in my process. And so my mind is churning with possibilities. So a furniture painter would be putting down stain blocking primer with shellac all over the whole thing to block any tannins coming through. They would be spraying or rolling that on, and then they would be efficiently spraying on the one color that they're going to paint the whole thing. That's what a furniture painter or a furniture flipper would do. I'm not that, but I still know that strategy, and there are strengths in that strategy that sometimes I borrow from. So all of their methodology is in my mind like a menu, right? All of those options are possibilities. Then as an artist, I'll gesso a canvas because gesso really has a lot of like glue and primer and everything in it that helps bond the paint to the canvas but keep it from seeping in. Well, something like gesso could be helpful in this situation. It's like having a Chinese menu in one hand and a Greek menu in another and an Indian menu in another. I have all these menus available to me because I dabble. Well, I more than dabble. I practice a lot of different arts, and so I use the benefits of what I can learn from each one. And I am a person who mashes things together and experiments and tries things out, right? So most people, in fact, somebody even said to me in a group I'm in, why don't you just sand it and paint it? Because that's what people do. That's what most people do. But see, my mind doesn't work like that. That's how I end up with the kind of art that I make, is that I don't do it the way most people do it. Like, I just don't. I'm not interested in that. Like, I want to try something different. I want to try something new. That's how I've always been. I'm not trying to be the explorer. I'm just curious. I just want to find stuff out, I want to play. It's more fun. It's more fun for me. So I have this crazy idea that I want to do, which is because I once made this beautiful dresser that I decoupaged fabric onto the fronts of this dresser, because the wood itself was really, I'm sorry, but it was kind of ugly wood. I mean, it was old, so it was an antique, or it was at least vintage, but it wasn't really great wood. It was not really great wood. Not all old things are beautiful, and not all old things are worth like putting in a museum and revering and, bending down to and kissing the ground over. You know what I mean? So I really upgraded it by decoupaging on some really beautiful fabric. And if you hate that and you want to leave me some nasty old comments, please just go on with your life. Just leave this video and go find something to your liking. Nobody needs your hate. Just take your little hate and go find something joyful. Like, we don't poison everything here, okay? So like, we're here to have fun. So I sold that dresser sight unseen to somebody. She saw a picture of it and said immediately, I want to have it. That thing about decoupaging the fabric on made me think, what if I decoupaged fabric onto this dresser, onto the top where the laminate is? I applied that fabric with DIY liquid patina, which is also a great decoupage medium. I mean, it really held that fabric like a rock. So I'm starting to form this hypothesis. Since there's no paint that can give a 100% certainty that it will adhere to a laminate top without scratching off, could it be possible that decoupaging fabric onto laminate with this medium would give it a 100% certain adherence that I could then paint on top of? So I'm at this crossroads right now. Right now I need to decide, do I go the normal route, which is use a tried and tested primer that has a chemical, stuff in it that I don't care for in my house, and I probably have to drag it outside. It's a little bit cold to do that, but like, I can do that, and just buy a $70 gallon of this paint, which I just don't want to do. And I'm still not sure. I mean, I've sanded it, this laminate, but I'm still not sure it will adhere perfectly. Or do I try my crazy new idea that I've never seen anybody try, which is decoupage the fabric onto the top. And I'm a multimedia artist, so that's just one layer. And then paint onto the fabric as if it's my canvas, as if the top of this dresser didn't come to me as a laminate top, but it came to me as a fabric top, and then paint on it as I will. And pick out a fabric design, a fabric pattern that adds to the multimedia effect of whatever I want to put on the top for the design for this child. So this is one of those decision points where I'm either going to take the risk to be fully myself, wild and woolly and experimental, and it's going to take time and effort and it might fail. Or I'm going to follow the crowd, which is not always a bad thing, right? But follow my crowd of people who say, why don't you just? It's always the phrase I hear. Why don't you just? Follow what they suggest because it's tried and true, experimented with. This is what works. This is what works for all kinds of people. Why don't I just do what they tell me? You know? And some people are so bold and wild that they don't even think about it. They just go for it. And some people are so certain that they're in the middle of the herd that they don't even think about it. They just do what they're told. And I bounce back and forth in between those groups because I know it's a decision point. And those decisions sometimes paralyze me. I really love it when a decision is really clear. I love it when I have complete clarity inside myself and I know what the North Star is and I can go for it. That's what I love the best. Man, I love those moments. I don't know if you ever have them, but like when you just know, you know, when you know, and you know that you know that you know, and it's so clear to you. And it's like there's like a hum and you can follow it. And you're like a goose flying north or south or whichever way it is for the season, right? You're in the hum of it and the flow, and you know. I love those moments, and I have a lot of them. And then other times, it's like I hear like hints of the hum, and I see glimpses of possibilities, but it's not a completely clear hum. And it's like I hear songs from both sides or from multiple sides. Sometimes it's a constellation of possibilities. And so in those moments, a lot of times, if it's not clear, what I've learned to do is say it's not time yet then to make that call. But what I also know is that none of us lives in the hum of the flow of the moment every single minute of every single day. How much of the time would you say that you feel truly inspired or truly clear on what your inspiration is and what the next current action is? I make it a real practice in my life to live in the moment and to follow the hum of the moment that I'm in, you know. That is a daily practice for me. It is part of what I guess you would call my spiritual practice. The present moment is definitely a higher power for me that I revere and I really practice tuning into. I'm practicing it right now here in this moment. All of us, you know, I saw a great picture recently. It was a picture of the earth from space and it said family portrait. And I really believe that. I really believe that we are in fact all here in this moment. We are all here together, and in my best moments I can feel our collective breath all together, right? So in this moment I can at times, and a lot of times, feel the depth of this present moment, and I can feel the beauty of it, and at the same time just get my dishes washed, right? Like that's part of the challenge of it, isn't it? So when it comes down to moments like this where it's like, wow, you know, do I just, you know, put the the bin primer all over this and then just paint. See, that doesn't feel very inspired to me. And I want to create a dresser that this child is going to wake up to every morning, right? And see, my line is wake up to the colors you love. And if I'm not inspired when I'm putting the art on this dresser for her, then how is she going to feel inspired when she wakes up to this dresser? What I really want is to create artwork that goes in people's home that is in fact the colors that they love, so that when they wake up to face, when you wake up to face an already challenging day in a challenging life, in a sometimes really harsh world, that you wake up to the colors you love to help give you a little bit of courage and joy and lightness and comfort and love, so that you can maybe like feel that collective breath too, and feel that planetary connection and love and joy, and go out and do whatever beautiful, hard thing that you do every day to help contribute to the goodness of the world, right? So that work is not easy. I know that work is not easy. And I'm not a musician. I sing in the shower, but you don't want to hear it. I enjoy singing in the shower, but I don't voice that on you. I'm not really an author, although I have written a couple of tiny little things for fun. But I can put color on furniture, and I can make art on furniture and bring that to people who want it, and hope that when they wake up, it gives you the strength and the joy to go out and carry on. And so I want to be inspired when I put that color on. So this is how I make a lot of decisions, is I take the question to the overall values of my whole business and my personal values, and compare the question to what I believe in the most and what's most important to me. And in all fairness, sometimes choosing to put the primer on and get on with the beautiful painting I want to do is the best choice, because it allows me to get the painting work done and meet my financial goals as well as my time management goals, so I have time for my personal life and my family. And I realized that, in fact, it's not even time to start painting this dresser. I'm waiting for confirmation from the dad that the ideas I sent him for what I see going on the dresser from our planning meeting, that is the direction we're going to go. So as soon as I started talking about it out loud, I realized I don't have to worry about any of that today. And in fact, that frees my mind from this completely. And I don't know if this happens to you, but what happens now is this whole project goes into my mind on a back burner. And plus, I'm going to get more information tomorrow from them, right? It's not time to take action. I don't have all the information. And that's a really important thing, is when we're forcing ourselves sometimes to make these decisions, it's an important question to ask, do I have all of the information? Because right now I really don't. They're going to come back to me with a response to what I sent them. And then I will have the information I need. And since I can't predict that information, no matter how active my brain is, right? We can't predict what's going to happen next when it's in the hands of someone else. So I'll wait until I hear back from them. Meanwhile, I know it's cooking in the back of my mind, and I'll add to it tomorrow what his response is from him and his daughter. And then tomorrow, I have the confidence that I will know what to do. I don't need to know right now. This isn't a decision for today. And what's cool about that is that means I can turn my attention to another project. And what I really want to do is see this project here. I started this project yesterday, and I can take this chair outside right now for about another half an hour in the sun, and I can paint on it some more right now. And I'm really excited to do that. It doesn't require thinking on my part. I don't have decisions to make. I just pull the colors out, pull out my spray bottle and the brushes, and I just start going because I stopped in the middle. This is a trick I learned from Hemingway, actually. He would stop in the middle of a sentence when he had to get up and leave from the writing. That way, when he came back to start work again, he would be picking up in the middle of a sentence. So he would never have that moment of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to get going next? So I always try to leave my projects, when I leave them hanging right in the middle, in a very obvious place where I'll know where to pick it up and start next. And that saves me from all of the decision making and any kind of complications that might come up in my brain. And because it was my husband's birthday yesterday, and tonight is the night I'm taking him out for dinner, I know that the whole priority of my day is about the person that I love the most. Other than, you have to love yourself a whole lot, to get up in the day and to be able to be centered in yourself so that you have something to give, right? But he is the person on the planet that I love the most, and my children. And so other than the painting, the whole rest of my evening is about taking my husband to dinner. And, we're in October, and I live in Vermont, and man, these days are coming to a close of these beautiful fall days. And I know I'm going to be shivering soon. And I just want to be outside every single second. I have to be inside some of the time, even though I really just want to be out staring at leaves. So I hope that if you and I share some commonalities, that you're able to comment below and say hey, and we can connect a little bit more. I'd love to hear how your brain works and how you find your way through decision paralysis as well. All right, take care.